heard before people will say, if you know what you don't want, you know what you do want. And I've always been like, oh, no, that's not the case for me. Right? And I get what they're saying. And, some of us just don't know. And then it's like, well, that's the definition of the unknown. It's like so many people tell you to jump into the unknown, do what's unfamiliar because you're stuck in a pattern. So, this and that. And yet, then they also encourage you, or it's not even encourage you, then they tell you, it's almost like they tell you should know because you know what you don't want. But then if those same people are telling you that, they're only living in the known. If we're going into the unknown, we don't know. That's the whole point. We're shaving it down. I don't like this, it's getting smaller and slimmer, but you have to figure it out. And if you're discovering something new, nobody knows. It's the unknown. And so it can be frustrating talking to these types of people who, it's like they think they know, they think they're leading, they think they're guiding, but then they don't even hear their own contradiction or recognize their own flaw or their own autopilot, and can drive somebody who thinks on their own batty. And I guess it always boils back down to the same thing we always say. This is why you have to think for yourself and decide for yourself, and only you can. You have to love yourself so much that you choose you over all those outside of you, and you have to then figure it out singularly because it's not a known. It hasn't been discovered. It hasn't been released yet, right? Heard yet, seen yet in that way. And so others aren't going to know. They're not going to have your answer. And, of course, this is like everything. You need to use your discernment if this message applies to you at this time. Because some people are on their journey where they very much do need to be led on a leash. They do need to be followers. And don't look at that as necessarily bad. You might be in a stage of your life where you really need to be a follower. You do. You're completely clueless, flopping all around. You're all fucked up in the mind. You're totally out of your league. And so you need to be led and guided and steered into a place of stability and steadiness so that you can get your footing and you can start to be able to utilize your tool instead of it tossing you all over the place. And then you can go from there. So there is no right or wrong, good or bad. It's just knowing yourself and loving yourself enough to know what's best for you in any given moment and not comparing yourself to others, because every time you do that, you're going to hurt yourself because you're going to see people all over the gamut, people above you, below you, beside you, all over the place, irrelevant, because you don't even know where they're truly at by seeing the outside anyway. It's all an illusion. There was more of a point to this message, and I can't see it right now. It was along the lines of leaping into the unknown and a matter of, I've been working with my guides for so long now to shave down to get more clarity. It's like we're shaving down knowing what I don't like, but because it's not perfectly clear on exactly what I do want, it's shaving all of it down. In other words, I go and experience it all, and then I'm like, yeah, no, nope. No, thank you. No. Right? And I'm like, okay, well, cross that off the list. Because a lot of times, too, we think we want something, and then we experience it, and we're like, oh, I definitely don't want that. Let's have further clarity around that. And here's just a really simple example they're showing me. Actually, I think they used this one recently where, I love to travel. So if I meet somebody else who also loves to travel, but they love it more than I do, I love it as the enjoyment of experiencing new cultures and places, spaces and time, people, art, all types of things, just to see their perspective and how they live and all types of things. But I also very much am a homebody, and love being in my own home, in my own space, in my own confines and, all these things. And so if I'm not clear with somebody and I get together with somebody else who loves to travel, but they love it so much that they're never home, I couldn't stand that. I don't like to have to, like they showed somebody who was like packing and unpacking constantly because they basically lived out of a suitcase so they could travel all the time. No. When I go away, I do like to go away for a month or more so I can immerse myself there. And if I can stay even longer, fantastic, and really enjoy and take my time and get to experience it. And then I come home and I like to be home for quite some time before I do it again. And so that's a very different way of traveling. So when we use blanket statements, I like to travel, so do I, and we don't clarify those things, you can very easily mismatch with somebody and be like, oh, I hate traveling. No, you don't hate traveling. You just have a specific way to travel that is very different than somebody else's way of traveling, right? So this is this idea of clarifying. We all need to clarify, and we're constantly doing that. We're like shading away to get clearer, to get more clear on what it is we do want so that we can, I suppose, verbalize it to share with others versus blanket statements. What we talk about all the time, right? Like you say one thing, I say one thing. They're the exact same thing, but we mean two totally different things. And then we get agitated with one another because we both think we were clear. I said I like to travel. I said I like to travel. Well, why is this a problem? Well, because your definition of traveling and my definition of traveling seems to be very, very different. We didn't clarify that, right? So it's back to this communication. Sorry, I could go on and on, but it almost seems ridiculous, but you get the point. Thanks so much for tuning in and listening. You can now purchase an audio journey with me using the link below.